Good morning, guys. I just wanted to come in and talk to you a little bit about guilt and shame today. Guilt and shame is one of the topics I hear quite a lot from the women in my free group, She Connects, on Facebook, and also from my one-to-one clients. And it's also the theme this month in my She Connects circle, my little membership group. So I just wanted to talk a little bit to that today because I hear so often that women have a lot of guilt and a lot of shame around certain behaviours, whether that be drinking alcohol, whether that be it's my little dog here, little Asher, whether that be around food, eating. I hear a lot about eating packets of biscuits, eating chocolate, eating cakes, eating ice cream, drinking alcohol, guilt about the way your parenting skills, feeling guilty about shouting at the children, guilty at feeling resentment towards partners or children again, or parents. I know this very well because I spent many years looking after my father, and I often felt a lot of guilt and a lot of shame around certainly feeling resentful towards him, and guilt that I wasn't there enough. There's always this thing about not being enough, not being a good enough parent, not being a good enough person to not eat the biscuits, not eat the cake. And so we sort of go into a little self-loathing within that guilt and shame. And what I want you to know is that a lot of that guilt comes from conditioned beliefs about yourself, conditioned beliefs about the way you're supposed to show up in society, about the sort of parent you're supposed to be, about the sort of mum you're supposed to be, about the sort of partner you're supposed to be, wife or husband, how you're supposed to behave. There's a lot of guilt and shame I hear around money, around spending. If you open up and tell people about your drinking or eating behaviours, people will think there's something wrong with you. So we wear a mask and hide it from the world, and then of course we have a lot of shame around it. But all of those sort of conditioned beliefs are just that, conditioned beliefs that we've picked up along the way, that we tend to make it mean something about us, that we're not good enough, that we don't show up enough, that we aren't clever enough, that we don't have enough willpower. And all of that stuff is just a belief which came from a thought, which kind of then predicts essentially how we show up in the world. And especially a lot of us, if we've had some sort of trauma or grief, which if you've been following my stuff you'll know is my experience, and then we just layer on loads of other stuff around it. But essentially it's just a thought, and a thought can be changed, and a thought doesn't mean anything. It just doesn't mean anything. And a lot of you have so much wisdom. I hear the wisdom in you. And if you could just see that those thoughts around your behaviours are just thoughts, they don't mean anything, but also the behaviours that we feel guilt and shame around are actually a sign of your mental health. They're a sign of your mental well-being. Because all that's happening is they're pointing you to the fact that you're innocently looking outside of yourself to create a place of calm, a peace of mind, and a state of well-being. And if you could just see that in that busyness, in that busy mind about guilt and shame, and then the subsequent behaviours that you're feeling guilt and shame around, that it's just a sign of a busy mind, and you're innocently looking to create a space from that. But get curious about the person who's aware, the you that's aware of the guilt and shame, the you that's aware of the behaviours, the you that's aware that you're not feeling yourself. I hear that a lot. I'm not feeling myself. Because that's wisdom talking to you. Your wisdom saying, I know that you're not at home base. I know I'm not calm and peaceful. So we just innocently look to something else, drink, shopping, spending, sex, gambling, food, whatever it might be. So if you were to take the layers away and see that underneath all that, the you that's aware of that is the you that's fundamentally well, 100% of the time. If you want to learn more about this, understanding which I teach, and you want to kind of explore more grief or shame and guilt, which is our theme for this month, I have a 2-week trial from my membership site. The link is either below, or if you're watching this on Instagram, it's above, and it will take you to my sign up page, and you can have a 2-week trial. The group's brilliant, the women are gorgeous, and we have a different theme every month, as I mentioned. We do exercise, yoga, meditation, we share recipes, nutrition, hormonal health. It's a kind of holistic package, but the fundamental basis of it is that I teach this understanding around mental health, mental well-being, and we look at themes that affect every single one of us. So we've done stress, we've done body image, we've done menopause, we've done the sort of wiser you, and this month it's around guilt and shame. And I also have a guest interview every month, and I do group coaching in there. So it's a great group. You have a 2-week trial. I'd love to see you in there. But if not, if anything in this resonates with you, leave me a comment, let me know, and I'd love to connect with you. So I hope you have a lovely day. I'm just going to show you the sun coming up. Talk to you soon.